Hey YouTube, it's JP Dillon. Welcome to part 4 of the Sony 7065. We've fixed all of the issues it has, but now we need to clean it up some. And I'm just going to go through some basic aspects of shining up a receiver so that you can get an idea, not just on this one, but how to take better care of yours as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off all the knobs and we're going to remove the faceplate. And on these, it's usually just a matter of grabbing a hold and pulling everything off, with the exception of the tuner. The tuning knob, I believe, has a set screw. Try to use non-destructive methods as best as possible. The plastic tools that help remove interiors on cars are great for this. Also, if this has any of that cheesecloth that's, around the knobs and stuff here, don't lose this. It does help keep the knobs on. And thankfully the discoloring shows where it used to be. These are all on here pretty good. We're going to have some shake-o-vision here because the camera mount's still broken. That and my other bench is occupied, so I'm just using the counter area here. And you can see here that there's been a little separation of the button cap and stuff, but we can glue that back on. That's easy peasy. Just have my little pile of accumulated stuff, and you can see the tuning knob has a slotted shaft, so we'll get a little screwdriver to pop that out of there. And if you ever order from Parts Express, the little screwdrivers they sell you are great for this. They used to include them for free, but now I think they want you to pay for them. Let's see, you need to loosen that a little more. And that comes off. And then we need to work on this guy a little bit, which may require two hands, so give me a second here. Alright, so now that we got that off, on the 7065, there are some screws on the top for the faceplate, which we see there. And then there are also some screws on the bottom, which we see right there. So in theory, once these are removed, we can get the faceplate off, clean it up, and then we can replace the dial lamps too. So let's see if that theory holds merit. Some of these are on here pretty tight. I'm sure you can hear the roar of La Mesa Boulevard in the background. You want to take care not to bump into that tuner string because it's easy to stretch it, and then we'll have to restring the tuner, and I'm not a fan of that. So I'm going to put this up on its side. Then we'll work on the stuff here. Note that the bottom ones are self-tapping and the top ones are machine tap. They're machine screws rather than self-tapping screws. Alright, so with that, I should be able, let me set this back down, make it a little bit easier for me. I should be able to remove the faceplate. And it's just a matter of grabbing it and pulling it off, and we can see that the lamps are a little baked there. Now, if you want to clean the glass, which we're going to do, we take out these two screws. Although, it's better to just loosen one and take out the other. So we're going to loosen that one, and we're going to take this one out. Just putting that over to the right there. Should probably move it to where I can get back to it. And then the little brackety things, which are probably stuck here. Let me grab that screwdriver. I just had to take the knob off. I'm going to pry this out just a little bit. And this should tilt down and away. It's still stuck to the rubber housing, so we'll just leave that there. And then very carefully slip that screwdriver blade or an X-Acto or something behind the rubber that's stuck to the metal, because it will be stuck to the metal. And very carefully go along the edge. And your goal is to get the rubber to separate from here like it just did there. Because if it doesn't, you will crack this. This is glass. This ain't plastic. And I'm just going to gently get it out to where I can hold it and see if it will come loose, and it won't. So we do have to take the other bracket out here. It's fortune does not favor us today. So we're going to repeat the process. And I'm going to put my thumb here because the glass is going to want to tilt out and fall. Let's move this aside, tilt it down. And it's still stuck to the rubber, so I'm just going to let it do that. Now I'm going to work this side here. And that came loose now. So now I can lift the glass away. I'm going to carefully set that down to the side. And now we can work on cleaning up this area here and replacing our mostly dead lamps. Alright, I'm going to try a different camera here that has maybe a little bit better image stabilization so that we're not so jittery. But I'm just going to take a natural bristle brush, and we're just going to brush all this and dust it all off. You can use Windex and shop towels, but those tend to leave streaks, so unless there's some real need to use cleaners, I just dust it off. Okay, and then likewise over here in the lamp housing area, you can dust all that off. Come over here and do that. Alright. This is also a good time to check the hex nuts that hold on the various potentiometers like the volume control and such. So I'm going to get my box head wrench and we're going to check and make sure those are firm. And I don't recall exactly, but usually it's between a 9 and a 12 millimeter that you'll need, most commonly being the 11 millimeter. So let's try the 11. Yep, that'll fit there. Let's make sure these are all tight. Oh, that one was loose. Alright. And then we'll come up here, and I think this is a 12. Nope, that's still an 11. And we'll just make sure that this is tight. A little loose. If they get loose, you'll get grounding issues, so when you touch the knobs and stuff, you'll get a buzz. So it's really good to make sure those are tight. These are E-clips, just going back in their shafts, so it's not really important that they be tight or not, since the actual switch is behind it. Okay, so we've got that under our belt. The next is to change the lamps. Now, these are a different style fuse lamp than we're used to seeing in Pioneers, Sansuis, etc. It's got a fatter base, and that's just going to fall. Let me get that. This is what it looks like It's a little stubby thing. And that's a 12 volt. I think these are about 150 mils. See if it says on here. 12 volt, 5 watt. So we can convert that to milliamperes with Ohm's law. My brain ain't working today. 120, 150 milliamperes, roughly. Yeah. I know I have 150s, so we can try that first. But what you want to do, obviously, there's actually two things to do. Number one, because of the distance that the fuse socket is, oftentimes we have to bend down those tabs. Those tabs at the bottom of the socket there, you have to bend either those down or the ones at the top down so that the fuse lamp can properly fit in there, and then crimp them so they're a little tighter. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend the top ones so that they're upright. Like that. And then we'll just crimp these together a little tiny bit. So that's going to grab our new lamps better. But you know something? I thought these were 8 volts, not 12s. We're going to have to see if the service manual says otherwise, because I'm not thoroughly convinced that these are actually supposed to be 12 volt lamps. But I could be wrong. That one just wants to jump out. We'll crimp that. Crimp that. And then we'll do the same thing with getting the little ears bent upward. Because if you don't do this, what happens is the ears prevent it from properly seating in the socket. I need to move the camera down so you can see what I'm doing here. Sorry about that. So you want those ears seat differently. And as far as the little light shields, you can cover those up with some high temperature like gaffer's tape or something, but I usually just leave them as is because I don't notice a difference between them being there and being not there. But let's look at the service manual real quick and see if it's actually supposed to be 12 volts or if it's supposed to be 8 volts. Okay, so in actuality, they show 11 volt, 360 milliamperes. Yeah, I'm not getting those. That ain't gonna happen. So I'm just gonna use the 12 volt. I do have some 12 volt, 300 milliamperes, but that's the closest I have to that. 11 volt, 360 milliamperes. That's probably a Sony specific part. So good luck with that. That ain't gonna happen. And then the meter lamp they list as 8 volt, 250 milliampere. So yep, that's an odd one. Okay, so here's our 12 volt, 300 milliampere. We're gonna just stick it in here. And we can see how that works in there. Or can we? Can you focus? So see how that works? How it sticks up a little bit and how the bottom wings hold it in place. So this is what I've got for this application, which is why I bend the little tabs. Man, I just keep dropping stuff today. Let's slide this one in here too. And so it does stick up a little bit, but it still makes contact. So let's give it some power real quick. And we see that those are lit up all happy. So that's our dial illumination. And then for the ones inside of here, this gets a little trickier, because I have to bend this stuff out of the way. And these tabs have to get bent up. Ooh. That is some stiff metal. Might want to use some pliers on that. And then we should be able to tilt this out. Let me get this up a little more. Yep, it's starting to come out. Do I have to bend the bottom ones too? Don't remember having to do that. But, let's see. There we go, there's that screwdriver. We'll bend these down a little bit and see if that eases having to get it out. Yeah, much better. Okay, so move all this stuff out the way. And now inside of here we have regular fuse lamps, which they just list as a 8-volt 250 milliampere, which I have a ton of. I don't know why they couldn't just be consistent, but it is what it is. And we'll just give these a little light pinch, and then we'll grab our replacements to stick in there. Okay, so I have my two 8-volt 250 milliampere. We're just going to pop these in. And let's give it a quick power test. There we go. That's happy. And now we'll put this back in its housing. And we'll bend the tabs back over. Now, as far as who I use for lamps, there are two people out there. One is Duojo, also known as Dave Wojnarowski. And then there's Joseph Mirabella, which is known as Project Block 86, I think, on eBay. Both of them sell high-quality LEDs and incandescents. And I prefer the look of the incandescents, but Joseph's LED kits are probably some of the best out there. So I would go with that. All right, so let's tuck all this back down in here. Now, as far as the dial pointer is concerned, the dial pointer is a chore on these ones. It's been a while since I've changed one. I'm trying to remember the easiest way to get inside of it, because there it is there. Also notice we got issues with our tuner string. It's been a while since I tackled one of these. No easy way to get at it. Let me take a better look at this and then we'll reapproach that. So it looks like realistically the only way to approach this with any kind of sanity is to remove the dial pointer, which requires that you carefully take the string off of those points there underneath the little blob of glue, and then we're going to very carefully remove the dial pointer. And since I don't have a camera mount, there's no real way to project this, so we're just going to do it a little bit at a time. So the first thing you see here is that I've moved the string from the back side of these two posts to the front side. And then I have to very carefully scrape away that blob of glue there holding the string to the front, and then I should be able to tilt this forward and away. Alright, so once you release the string, and it's all separate here, then we need to very carefully pull back on this. See what kind of freedom of movement I have. It doesn't look like very much. Let me see if there's an opening on the front which allows me to slip past it. Hard to tell. I think I'm going to slide it all the way down to the bottom and see if I can get it to come off that way. That's probably going to be my best bet right there. Slide it down all the way to the bottom. Nope. It just don't want to come off. Trying to see what's holding it up. Alright, let me mess with this a little bit more. Okay, so at the bottom you see that there's this little tab here that keeps the pointer from leaving the rail here. So we need to bend that down in order to get the pointer to clear it and get it off. So this ought to be fun. And I'm going to get down in here, trying very carefully not to break off the... Can you guys see in there? Yeah, not really. Alright, let me just bend it down and then I'll show you. Okay, so now that we got the tab bent down, we should be able to clear it. And there it is, it's off. It's going to be fun getting that back on. And then let me lift the dial pointer up and out of here. And then you see those little tabs there. And we got to bend those back and get the cover off in order to get a replacement lamp inside. And I think this is 8 volt, maybe it's a 6 volt. Well, anyways, let's double check that. And of course it just says lamp pointer, so yeah, that sucks. But I'm gonna guess it's an 8 volt 50 milliampere because that's pretty much the common style pointer that was used in a lot of these Sony units. I don't think it's gonna be a 12 volt. I can measure it real quick and we can find out. Okie dokie, so this will give me a new chance to show off my fancy new fluke I got from another tech, Mark. He was nice enough to send this to me. Since the display in my other one kind of gave up. So I believe this is AC volts. And these are our 2 test points here for the dial pointer. Now let's see if I can just do it without blowing up the set. Oh, it is a 12 volt. Had to grab a parcel. Alright, so I'm going to try these 12 volt 80 milliampere and see how that looks. Come on now. And let me get some clip leads. Yeah, loaded down. That's pretty dim. And I bet it's only got about 8 volts on it. Let's see what it reads with the load on it rather than not. Only 5.5 volts with a load on it. So really needs about a 6 volt lamp instead of a 12. Okay, so there's a 6.3 volt lamp. That looks much happier, much better luminance. So let's attach it to the... Yeah, so we got 5.2 on a 6.3, so it'll still last a long time and provide decent luminance. But yeah, so let's get this one in here. So the best way to do this is usually with an X-Acto knife. You want to pry up the corner tab right there, and then pry the big fat one up. So I'm just going to do that, and then that allows you to kind of tilt the lamp housing away, so you don't have to worry about it. Let me show you. So first you see how we have the corner one up like that. Now you see how we have the back one up like that. And that allows me to tilt the dial pointer at that angle that you see there. And then I should be able to tilt it away. And once you get it tilted away, you should see the little rubber brick that the lamp is shoved inside. So let's pull the old one out and put the new one in. And that also requires that we unbend these little brackets back here that hold the wire in place so that we can get that through too. So there it is with the little lamp housing removed. And there it is. Whoops. And dropping it on the floor to die again. And you can see on this side where the little hole is that you'd be shoving the lamp into. So let's go ahead. We're just going to take our new lamp and I'm just going to shove it in the hole here until it hits the stop, and then we can work on reattaching this. And here you see that I've pried the two brackets away and removed the old insulating sleeves and the wire. You want to try to reuse those sleeves, so we're just going to cut the old leads away and leave some slack in the event that the new wires aren't quite long enough to be a dial pointer, and then route it through here. Okay, so I got the sleeves pushed back up on the new wire, the lamp installed in the housing, and we're just going to do a reversal after we clamp the wires in and put this all back into its holster there. I'm going to see if I can show this on camera. I've just got it propped up here. But anyways, so we're going to try to install this on the bracket first, which requires that I slip the metal underneath the front to here, and then we're just reverse installing it. So we're going to have to bend this tab back. If it'll focus, we're going to have to bend that tab back down. So I'm going to get me some hemostats and give that a shot. And this keeps wanting to focus on the bottom, so I apologize there. Anyways, there's the tab bent back over. And then I'm going to try to bend this tab back over. Okay, so that's from the top, from the side, and from the front. So there's our dial pointer complete and reassembled. Let's push this down a little bit more if we can. And then I have to route the wires, which are fun. And as you can see, we want to try to slip this underneath here. And that's why you keep these fibrous sleeves here, is so that you don't get any chafing of the wires. I'm going to have to bend this bracket up a little bit more so that it will clear. And everyone's going to get motion sickness. I don't recommend watching me in VR. This is the real fun part, because I have to, this wire's thicker than the original, so I'm placing it in here, and then I have to get it to fit. That's why I'm pushing up on the sleeve so I can get it to fit within that bracket. It's just not cooperative. Okay, and then I have to move this over here and fight that, and then we'll clamp both of these down. And we'll clamp this one down. I can see that this one's just going to be the problem child, because this new wire is very stiff in comparison. It's not going to want to stay there. As long as the routing remains correct, that's all I'm concerned about. So, there's our dial pointer all put back together there. Now it's just a matter of getting it back on the track and getting it wired up. Okay, so after much struggling and tricks of dexterity, I did manage to get the dial pointer back in here. It is no easy feat. Unless you are very good with your hands, I would not recommend it. So, but now what I have to do is get it strung up and happy again. So you're going to tuck the wire back on that glue spot where it was previously and pinch it down by pushing down on this tab, and then put the other two pieces of string behind here. And now you can see how I have that routed. And put a little dollop of glue back when you're done. So now it's just a matter of wiring the damn thing up. And you see the little black sleeve and spring here, we're going to have to reuse that, so we have to bend this out, get the sleeve off, put it on the new set of wires, and then solder the wires to the terminal strips there. Alright, so I cut about 2.5 inches off, soldered it up, put the sleeve back in, and we're just going to check and see that we get it traversing the dial, which it does. So we're good there. Definitely need to rearrange and tie some of this up in a better place, but there we go. And if I apply some power, hold on, we got a dial pointer. On to cleaning the glass. Alright, so now we're going to focus on the glass since we have it out. And commonly what happens is you get this hazy appearance like you see here, where it's just not very clean, not very clear. You can kind of hold it up to the light and you can see all the scuzz and film that's built up on it over the years. We're going to just clean all that off. And strangely enough, the easiest way to do that is just Windex. And I use these blue shop towels because they're very soft, they're non-abrasive, they don't scratch the glass. They do a really good job. Now you don't want to keep this on here very long, but I will literally just hose it once and twice like that. Let it sit there for, oh, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds. And then we'll just do a gentle swipe. Don't want to apply a lot of pressure, just gentle swipe. And then flip it over, do the same thing. Wait a little bit. And then we'll just swipe it back and forth a couple times. And the rubber is keeping it off of the carpet, so I don't need to worry about it smearing up again. And when I start to feel a little bit of drag, I know it's dry. Camera keeps wanting to tilt it that way. Anyways, so I'm going to pick this up now. We'll take a look. There's probably still some streaking that hasn't dried yet. Come on. Yeah, it's hard to get it to focus on this, but it's pretty clear. There's no more scary haze that there was before. So that's how you do that. Let's do the faceplate now. The faceplate also has glass too. I don't know if you can see the smudginess and stuff there. That's all gross. So that needs to be cleaned too. Front panel overall doesn't look too bad. So same thing. I'm just going to give it a once over. Just spritz and wait. If you've got lots of cigarette tar and stuff like that, you can wait a little bit longer, like 30 seconds to a minute. But don't wait too long because it will attack the silk screening. But the ammonia and Windex really does a good job of cutting through it. So we'll just wipe this down. And I'm just being gentle. I'm using my fingernails to get into the gap there. You can see the dirt in the gap. Come up here to the top. Random money lying around, I always like that. If there's an area that your fingernails are not long enough to get into, then we'll use something. You can use the ball point of a pen, as long as it's behind the towel. and you're not getting the ink in the gap. Of course, that's still leaving soap in there too. Alright, so the next thing is very carefully using a flathead screwdriver to push down into the crack. We're going to absorb the rest of the cleaner there, and then just do the glass. And we'll flip it over. And my towel is damp enough now with Windex that I can probably just clean this up. Alright, so now I can angle this up. Pretty clean looking. There's no scuzz or anything in the reflection. Got a little bit of spotting in the clear coat down here. I don't know if you can see that. So we need to take care of that too, and a couple of extra marks. So if the clear coat has been buggered, you can see the rings there. The next thing we can try to do is very gently polish the clear coat. For that, we're going to use the Novus No. 2 Fine Scratch Remover. This is nominally for plastics, but you can use it on clear coats of faceplate as long as you're gentle. Don't rub really hard. Don't make a big noise about it. And let me get the phone. So anyways, we're going to put a little tiny bit on here. And then we're going to start very gently. Let me fold this over here so it's a little bit easier to manage. We're going to start very gently by applying it to the face. And then just with very light pressure, I'm just going to go in a swirl motion. You don't want to be heavy pressure, especially around the silk screening. You'll wipe it out. Just very, very gently. Let the polish do its work. And all we're doing is taking the little imperfections out of the faceplate. Alright, now we take the clean side and we do the same thing, as we just very gently polish away the remaining compound. And this will usually take care of minor imperfections. Now, this only works if your aluminum faceplate has a clear coat on it. So like the early Marantzas that have the champagne face with the clear coat, this will work on those. The later ones that have the unfinished faceplate that are more rough, this will not work. Many Pioneer faceplates, this will work. Some will not. It's a trial and error process. So anyway, if we tilt it up into the light, we see that the rings around the volume control and stuff are gone now. The little blemish below the tape monitor is gone. I need to get the little bit of polish out of there. But it otherwise looks fairly minty. It looks very nice. So that's a trick that you can do to make your faceplate look really pretty. Just go easy on it, light pressure, and don't rub off the silk screening. So let's get to putting this back together now. Alright, so here she is. And what I'm going to do is grab a hold of this. And I'm going to try to set this back up in here without getting my grubby fingerprints on it. Alright, this is going to be hard to do. I'm going to take the little brackety thing, shove it down into the hole, and put it up top. We need to feed a screw into it so it'll hold there. This is where your magnetic screwdriver is a great tool. And I'm just going to feed this in here, but not tighten it down yet. Come over here to the other side and do the same thing. Get this down in its little cubby hole here. Should be right there. Come on, focus. There we go. All right. Put that up there. It's not going to stay there, of course. You got to bear with me because I'm literally doing this all single-handed while holding the camera because this bench does not have a mount and my other mount's broken. All right. So, magnetic screwdriver to the rescue. And once we get this one seated, we'll tighten it down. Then we'll come back over here and we'll tighten this one down. And so now there's our glass. Nice and cleaned up. Let's get the faceplate. Alright, so here's the faceplate. And we have to remember that the machine screws go on the top and the self-tappers go on the bottom. And you can see that this is going to have a bit of an issue for me lining up. So we got to hang the edge of it over the bench and then worry about attaching it. So let me move this over here. And we move this to the edge of the bench so that I have a better means of attaching it. Let me grab it again. And I'm going to try to guide it on here with one hand. Get it in place. All right. Not quite on there yet. There we go. Had to push a little harder. You can use the jacks as a way to line it up, so that does help. I think I'm missing a screw. I'm supposed to have 3 up top. I'm only getting 2. But I have replacements. Alright, so again, magnetic screwdriver is a lifesaver here. Make sure you guys can see what I'm doing here. Get this to thread into the face. Alright, let's do another one. Let's do the one over here. This one, of course, does not want to cooperate. Come on. There we go. Had to get it to catch. And let's see if I missed any screws here in my bag of stuff. Nope, must have fallen out elsewhere. Let me get a replacement machine screw real quick. There we go. Had to make sure it was one with the little washer on it so it matched the other ones. Yeah, let's do this one over here. Hardest part is getting him to thread because your screwdriver's at an angle. Okay. Now let's tilt it up. Yeah, so I'm tilted up on its side. There's the 3 machine tap screws. And again, doing this a little on the slow side today because I still have to hold the camera so y'all can see what I'm doing. This one I guess I can just thread by hand easily enough. Okie dokie. And so there it is. Faceplate all nice and shiny. Nice, happy, clean, clear glass. Let's fire it up and see how it looks. Alright, moment of truth. What does it look like? Got our dial pointer. Got our center illumination. Got light over here. You got light over here. Hard to see in this camera angle, but you do. So everything's lit up and happy. So let's get to working on the knobs. So if you're a lucky soul and you happen to have an ultrasonic cleaner, I'll usually just put some Symbol Green in there or some Windex and run it through a couple of sessions on the ultrasonic cleaner. But for the average Joe who doesn't have one, probably the best way to pursue this is with an old toothbrush and, again, a bottle of Windex. This is just wonderful at cleaning these old things. So what I do is wet the toothbrush and then wet the knobs lightly and scrub them down and then wipe them clean with a shop towel. Again, the blue shop towel thing. So just as an example, we'll just give this a little spritz. We'll wet our toothbrush here and then circular motion for the front of the knobs. Just follow the grooves. And then if I were holding this, I'd be, doing it this way, but I need two hands for that. So let me clean this real quick and let me show you what the outcome is. So with the Windex, it's cleaned up. We got the smoker's tar and junk off at the front, or on the side, but there's some oxidation here, kind of like there was on the faceplate. And guess what? You can do the same thing with these knobs in the Novus number 2. So let's polish this one and then see how it turns out. So again, with the Novus number 2, we're just going to put a little bit on here, not much. Then we're going to take our bit of shop towel and we're just going to go in a circular motion and we're just going to polish it for a little bit. I'm going to do the whole knob with two hands and then we'll clean it up and come back to it. And so now that's all cleaned up and polished, no oxidation, nice and shiny, really pretty looking. So we're just going to go ahead and clean and polish all these knobs and then stick them back on the front panel and take a look at how it turned out. So there it is with the faceplate reassembled. It sure does look nice. Nice and shiny, like showroom floor. So let's get everything back together and then we'll work on the case. And then I'll show you some things about cleaning the RCA jacks. Okay, so I think we'll switch stuff around and do the RCA jacks first. Now, there are several ways that you can approach this, but unless there's visible rust on the jacks, don't go crazy. You'll take the coating off and then you'll have connectivity issues. Now, commonly what I'll do is I'll get some dead RCA plugs, spray this down with deoxit, and just work the plugs until they're all cleaned up. Now you can go above and beyond that and you can get your wire brush attachment for your Dremel and very carefully polish all of these and then do the same treatment. But if they're heavily rusted, you will take the remaining coating off and then you may have issues too, or you'll have to replace the jacks. So let me get a dead RCA plug and some deox and I'll show you. So you can see the frequently used ones on the left. So I'm just going to hose the tape recorder ones down, and we'll take our old RCA plug and insert it and twist as we go in and out with it. Let the deox do its job. You can already see it's starting to get significantly clean again. And again, I only do it on ones that are crusty. These ones over here that are clean, I'm not going to mess with them because it's taking the metal coating off. And you don't want to do that if you don't have to. So then we'll just hose these ones down too and do the same thing. Old dead RCA cables are good for this. Don't use death grip ones, just ones that have a moderate bite that you can use for abrasive cleaning. And if you want to go a step further after you're done with this, you can hit it with the Keg S5, which is deoxit shield, which is supposed to help stop any additional oxidation from creeping back in. And if you live near a body of water, that's a really good idea. And if you live near a salty body of water like an ocean, that's a must. I'm pretty far inland here, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. And then we'll just wipe off any excess back here. Just clean it off. And that's that. So let's put the case on and clean up the case a little bit. Now the common problem with the cases is that the slats break loose like this. Thankfully it's only one here. So it breaks loose. We're going to trickle a little bit of glue down there and just clamp it and let it set up and then put it on the machine. Now if overall your wood case looks pretty decent with just a couple of light scuffs and things like that, or the wood looks dry, you can hit it with the Scott's Liquid Gold. You can buy this at grocery stores, hardware stores, wherever. Spray it on a cloth, old sock, blue shop towel, whatever, and then just rub it down. And just do a couple of times of that, and that'll clean it up. If you've got some more nasty stuff, you can try Old English scratch cover and match it up to your wood, and then rub it down, and then use, after it dries, maybe a furniture wax. And then at worst, you can use some triple lot wool, triple lot steel wool, and Howard's Restore finish to clean it up if it's kind of ugly. Or you can just refinish the whole damn thing. It's up to you. We're going to do the Scott's Liquid Gold approach. So I saturate this pretty well, and we just rub it in a circular motion. Go with the grain at first, and then just rub it in a circular motion, and it should cover up most of the, not all of the blemishes. And you can see the color and the grain's already starting to come back. Looks very nice. Do our sides too. Do our front. And any scratches and stuff you see, just rub it in there really good. And just keep rubbing it in until the wet look goes away. This one's going to turn out real nice. And we'll just keep at this another couple of minutes. I'm going to let it sit a little bit, put a second coat on, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, well there she is, all finished up nice and pretty. And we got a nice working machine that also looks pretty. And this is one that I'll be happy to stick in my living room for a while. All the lamps work, dial pointer and all that's happy. All the issues were resolved. So this has been a lot of fun fixing this old gal up. And eventually I'll find it a new home, but for now I'm just going to enjoy it for a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series of what's really involved in cleaning up an old machine. Now I don't do too much cleaning of the inside, maybe a light dusting, and that's about it. Because you can wipe out labels, or you can get fluid or liquid inside of things that shouldn't be there. So unless it's really bad and I'm willing to fully disassemble it, I don't do that. But as you can see, this one turned out real nice. So in any case, thanks for watching the series. Hope you guys enjoy the videos, and more stuff to come.